Hey guys, it's me, Aquas. Today we're looking at Cardz 2.0. Yeah, you heard me, Cardz 2.0. So I just ended up scratching Cardz 1.0. Not because it was bad or anything, but just the way that I started, because since Cardz was my first ever HTCG, the way I started was just too sloppy for my base, so it just made the base too wobbly. And I just had to do too much work, like try to get it stable again. So you know what I just realized? I realized this making 2.0 might just be more funner than trying to stabilize a game that's already too shaky anyway. So, yeah. So this right here is a diagram of what the cards are going to look like most of the time. Well, this is a fighter card. This is what the fighter cards are going to look like most of the time. And yeah, we're going to go over it. First up is HP. If you don't know what HP is, you should not be on this video. Okay, then there's stamina. Now stamina is really unique. So stamina is basically how many times you can attack with a card before going in rest mode. And now as they play in rest mode, it's basically the turn after a card was in rest mode, it regains the stamina to its max stamina. And then you may switch it to attack mode. You don't have to. That's the interesting part. You don't actually have to. You don't even have to start off with attack mode. You could just go and start with rest mode, period. But there's no like benefit of staying in rest mode. It's not like you gain extra stamina or anything. I could do that, but that might be too complicated. So yeah, you don't gain any extra stamina for staying in rest mode longer than what you need to be. And yeah. So rest mode is just like a really cool just mechanic that just kind of keeps the game shifting around and keeping you like on your feet, so you can't just spam attacks. Because one problem with Cardz is that you're just spamming attacks, boom, 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 just spamming attacks, and like it just makes it hard for whoever is losing to catch up. But now since you actually kind of have a resource to spend, now it's more like, oh, I attacked, but now I'm in risk of running out of stamina to give my opponent a chance to catch up. Which is usually what happens. It keeps the game's balance, and it actually makes you think about actually attacking, which sounds funny. Then right here is attack, which is obviously how much damage you do when you attack. Then it's defense, and defense is only active while you're in rest mode. And one of the reasons why you even want to be in rest mode, defense is basically how much less damage you take while you're in rest mode. Yeah, it's pretty, yeah. So it just gives rest mode a reason to have a reason to actually stay into it, other than just to regain your stamina. And yeah, and then next up is your skill, and skills now there's different skill types just to make the text on skills faster. It just makes the skills less wordy. It just makes the effects sound more simpler and makes the game less complicated and less cluttery. So the first skill type is once your turn skills, where you can activate whatever the skill does once in your turn and only on your turn. Yeah, pretty simple. I'm not going any further. Then next up are trigger skills, and the trigger skills basically activate whenever something happens. The card will specify what needs to happen to trigger the effect. But yeah, and trigger effects can be activated multiple times as long as their trigger was triggered. Okay, that's actually kind of funny. And they can be used on any player's turn. Then there's passive skills, and passive skills are basically always on, and they're basically always on. Well, they're always on when the skill owner is played. When the skill owner isn't played, their skill is on. So I guess it isn't always on, but basically is always on. Next up is the special cards. And you might remember such cards from the Cardz 1.0, and they basically work the exact same way, which is okay. They're basically spell cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just that you don't have to set them down, and they just instantly go in the discard pile after you use them, and yeah, they're pretty cool. And they're going to be used on your turn, and instead of having skills, they have effects. So yeah, there's different ways. It's kind of how you have monster effects and you have normal effects. So yeah. Then next up is the counter cards, and counter cards are basically basically special cards that you can use on your enemy turn only, which is really nice. There's one counter card called block, and it's really helpful. Then we have arena cards. Arena cards are basically field cards from Cardz 0.0. They're basically always active, and they stay on the field, but they don't actually go on the field. They go on the arena zone, and yeah, most of them have passive effects. I don't know if I'm just gonna have them only have passive effects or just most of them. I haven't really decided yet. And there can only be one arena card in play. So let's say I have arena card already in play. Then my enemy can play arena card, and if they do, then it knocks out my arena card, which is really interesting. And it makes like playing arenas less harder, because like one thing that I realized in Cardz 0.0 is that food cards are basically being abused. Not actually abused, but like game-wise abused in Cardz. We're just like fields were just too good, and now this gives like fields like actual risk. So you're just not just like boom play down field in every deck basically. So then that gives you it basically makes it so that you actually might want to play more than one field, which sounds or more than one arena, which sounds a little funny, because you only have one in play at a time. But if your opponent knocks out your arena, you'll have another chance to get it back. Well, which is kind of good. So this is the first card that I made. This is let me just make, here we go. This is Zap Dash. You might remember from the first time from like one of the first videos I ever made. And he has a once your turn skill, called Zap, do 10 damage. Pretty simple. Stamina's orange, HP is green, attack is red, and defense is blue, if you don't remember where they are. And he is a thunder type, as you can see right here. Well, I'm calling it thunder type, but you really call it whatever you want. You call it electric, thunder, whatever you want. I don't know. Thunder type just stick, and I know thunder is a sound, not actually, but it just sounds cool, okay? So I don't care what the actual scientific term would be for it, but I'm calling it thunder. I just don't care. And like thunder, like you don't even have to call it thunder. You can really call it whatever you want, because it's more of a symbol than the actual name. So yeah. But yeah, that and then like this is like the base stats for like most cards. So like this is when I'm balancing cards. This is like what I'm starting at. If you guys watched my how to balance stat video, this would be like the base. So your base would be 20 attack, 20 defense, 70 HP, and then 2 stamina. And as you realize, HP has got bigger from Cardz 1.0, at least for the base. Now the base for HP is now 70 instead of 60, and the base for attack is now 20, not 40, which is, it basically just lets cards survive a little bit longer, because I feel like Cardz 1.0 was just way too swingy, where cards would just die too fast, and just, yeah. And then like board breaker type effects cards would just dominate the game, because they were just like a slight little like attack boost or a slight little advantage would just bust the game basically. And yeah, also you have like this little pattern that I did right here. It's kind of like what Pokemon does for like their cards, except for they do the full card. For this, I'm not gonna do the full card. I'm only gonna do them when like the card either has no skill or its skill is very short, like Zap Dash is, and I could just fill it up. And I just think it's just like a little cool detail. I don't know if like every card will have their unique one, or I'll just do it by types. I'll just see. And also you can see what number card this is. So this is card number 1, as you can see right here, and you can see what set it is from set 1. This one thing that I was missing from Cardz 0.0, as I told you, I didn't really sync out that game when I first made it. So yeah. Oh yeah, also to clarify, the decks will be 10 to 20 size decks, which sounds wild, but it's whatever. Because like having a 10 size deck could be worth it if your game plan is just that good. It could be worth it if you have like a really strict combo that's really hard to do. But like if let's say you're playing like a deck that has like dang it, my brain has stopped working. That has like a really like hard combo to do in a bigger deck, there's a reason to play a 10 size deck. And then also oh my goodness, my brain is just like not functioning. And then also, like, in a bigger size deck, basically you have bigger extensions, but it's just harder. It's harder to get certain cards out, so you'll need more searching cards, which adds to more cards in your deck anyway. So having a bigger deck, it's an advantage or has cons. So they both kind of have their cons, and I think it's fair enough, I think. And then also, to win, you need... I'm just grabbing random cards right now. Basically, in the start of the game, you draw 3 cards and you don't look at them and you put them down behind like your main field, and then basically, if you don't have any cards in your field, your opponent is able to attack one of these. Oh my goodness, let me zoom out. One of these 3 cards is able to attack one of these 3 cards, and well, they only are allowed to attack the first one if like the read like the way that you read like from like left to right. So you would get the left one right here. So you actually don't get the pick, but yeah, and then you lose one, but you get to have that. You get to add that card to your hand, and then boom, and then if you use your last one, then you basically lose. Well, actually no. If you lose your last one, then you're okay. But then after, if they just attack you and you have nothing, then you lose, actually. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, never mind. Well, actually, I don't know. It'll be either... For now, I'm going with, like, you have to be hit 4 times. But I might just turn it to 3 if the games take too long. It depends how my playtesting goes. It really depends on how my playtesting goes. It just depends. So yeah. But yeah, this is the first look at Cardz 2.0. I think it looks polished, but if you guys have like any like suggestions on like something that I should change or anything like that, comment it down below. And yeah, that was the first devlog of Cardz 2.0. Aquos out.